Got this replay directly from Alfredino, definitely one of the strongest players currently active in Warhammer right now, and super interesting game, I have to say, from the outset. Looking at these builds, him and Golden Floof, his opponent, playing the Empire. So, you know, I gotta cast it, especially with Pistoliers. I've been bad-mouthing them a little bit in recent patches, but let's see how they can do here in the hands of a skilled player. He's also got some Empire Knights, yeah, 4 Pistoliers. He's got the Royal Altdorf Griffites with their new Glorious Charge. Haven't featured them in a replay yet, but they are insanely strong now with their 60 charge bonus. Increased leadership, just everything. We've got Boris up on his Griffin as well. Some guns, looks like. Free Company. And the Silver Bullets, along with Single Spear. And Lore of Fire Bright Wizard for combating the healing of a Nurgle. Nurgle's gone all mobility. Still managing to bring about 570 unit models to the table with plenty of Poisoned Warhounds. We've got some Flying Furies and Triple Rot Knights with an Exalted Great Unclean One who is not the fastest, but fast enough. 36 speed is basically infantry speed. Actually, I take that back completely. But he is a big brute with plenty of HP and good magic, decent in combat, just all around be solid here. But yeah, all mobility for Nurgle, definitely not trying to get shot to pieces by the Empire, which is smart. Empire, one of the stronger shooting factions in the game, just generally good at a lot of things. So let's see if the mobility can prevail here. You can see Golden Floof kind of folding back here with the Pistoliers while charging forward with this unit here, maybe trying to bait the Rot Knights into an unfavorable engagement against the Altdorf Griffites, but let's see. Boris is kind of chilling in the air right here. Yeah, looks like Altdorf Griffite's going to rush in and clash. The Rot Knights try and pull away at the last second, but do get contacted there. As you see the Hounds running in for a screen, we had that big cavalry engagement play out over there as well. Boris is going to rush into that, escalating the value and get some debuffs going on the Furies. The Pistoliers also get in a nice position to start firing and doing some good DPS to these low armor mobile units of Nurgle. Giving some support, leadership damage as well will help rout off like the Poison Warhounds and break the leadership of those Furies, immediately start having demonic instability. Meanwhile, over on the far side here, the Rot Knights and these Furies make an attack run on the kind of infantry corps, supported by some of the Pistoliers and Knights of the Blazing Sun here as well. Get a little bit of damage increase from Kindle Flame, but generally getting bogged down where they don't want to be with that 78 charge bonus. But still able to kind of do okay with the Altdorf Griffites now moving in. Yeah, just all across the field, going to be some bloody engagements, but sort of a blob playing out here as, oh, not Empire Knights actually, more Knights of the Blazing Sun here. As the Great Unclean One charges in, we've got more Free Company dumping in pistol shots from the side. And Nurgle's not doing great right now. They're definitely taking some damage, but Rot Knights fight decently well in sustained combats. They'll continue grinding. Terror kicks in also from the Exalted Great Unclean One. That's going to clear out some of these Knights and support units. Basically just leave the Pistoliers and the Free Company, all of which can dump their ammo into the Exalted Great Unclean One. Yeah, I really love the pistol units for the Empire, to be honest. Pistoliers, I think, could use a little bit more ammo to be more cost-effective, but Free Company in particular are probably one of my top picks right now. And I love Pistoliers, even if I don't think they're amazing. But let's see how they do here, actually, in terms of value. This one is basically done for and only got 85 value, so that's really not really too surprising. But these other ones, they've been used more for skirmishing. Yeah, I mean, 187 there. This one's used more than half their ammunition, and is a decent amount of way paying for itself. So I guess okay in terms of cost efficiency, but again, more so just for the support value to get that extra leadership damage on the mortal units for being attacked by missile fire, and just in general providing a little bit of mobile skirmish potential. But yeah, that low ammunition, especially firing against the high HP single entity like the Exalted Great Unclean One, they will definitely feel that lack of ammo in that specific situation. But yeah, Free Company here, getting a nice concave with its Silver Bullets, firing on the Poison Warhounds, but yeah, Silver Bullets kind of lined up against this building here, causing a few of their models to bug out over around the side, but that's fine. Gives them a little bit of a defensive kind of anchor to work around. And yeah, they're going to turn and fire here, try and find a bead on these Rot Knights. The Rot Knights are also trying to get through. A really nice Curse of Slug comes in here to slow down the Altdorf Griffites. Alfredino gets a really nice engagement too, hitting from both sides with the Rot Knights. And despite the power of the Altdorf Griffites, they definitely are going to get overwhelmed by elites here. Now, although they do manage to terrify away one unit of Rot Knights with a pretty good amount of their HP and leadership left. And more Knights of the Blazing Sun moving in. Flaming Sword of Ruin also giving that nice damage spike from Kindle Flame and just overall flaming damage to reduce any healing that was done. However, the Fleshy Abundance comes in after. Well, I guess, no, the Rotting Rider's still on fire from the Knights of Blazing Sun, so their healing is reduced. Definitely see some benefit from that for sure. But still a really nice Overcast Fleshy Abundance, which did get a nerf. Likewise, the Exalted Great Unclean One here getting gadded down by the Concave Empire Pistols as a Free Company and Pistoliers here. Just a beautiful arc of gunpowder units firing through the trees here against the big bad monster in the distance. But Rotten Knights are lurking. Having dispatched the Altdorf Rippites, gonna have to sacrifice the Pistoliers, run them into combat to try and block as many of the Rot Knights as possible. Some of them still do get through, but a nice Flaming Sword of Ruin on Boris and on the Pistoliers to try and help finish off the Exalted Great Unclean One. He starts to have demonic instability. The loss of leadership could be fairly significant for Nurgle, and in fact, in terms of the balance of power, they are pretty far behind. Not looking great for Alfredino right now. That being said, excuse me, there's not a lot that can actually threaten these Rot Knights in melee, particularly. I mean, there's a lot of range units left for the Empire, and Boris himself is somewhat of a threat, but all Thorper fights you can see charge in. There's not enough of them left to really make a difference, and they literally all get killed. Yeah, they didn't really do much there on the charge, besides at least delaying the Rot Knights a little bit longer, but one Rot Knight at the very least does get routed, and another Rot Knight here is kind of teetering. Rotting Riders causing terror themselves is critical at this point, as they don't get terrified away by Boris, but are subject to all of his debuffs. Cloak of Ulrich and Crush the Weak significantly impacting their sustained melee stats, especially against infantry. But one unit of Pistoliers dispatched to chase the Rot Knights. I don't know if these guys are on fire at will. I don't believe they are, which means, yeah, the Rot Knights are not going to be taking enough melee damage from the Pistoliers. Their regeneration trait will actually allow them to heal a bit of HP. These Rotting Riders also trying to potentially get after the Pistoliers here. Another unit of Rot Knights gets terrified away. More Pistoliers going to be used to chase them off if possible. Boris definitely terror coming in clutch right now, but yeah, this Pistolier you can see, okay, this is the specific mechanic that Alfredino actually wanted to highlight in sending this to me. You see how those Rot Knights immediately came back, because this unit of Pistoliers is not enough of a threat in terms of value to actually like keep them routed, and I think Boris was a little bit too far away right there. Boris does eventually come in and is going to try and reroute them. Once more, Flaming Sword, and again on the route for the Rot Knight. Over here, though, if you think about that equation, right now the Pistoliers have enough value to keep the Rot Knights routed, and the edge of the map is pretty far. The Rot Knights will have some time to regenerate. Yeah, I do think the Pistoliers are actually using their ammo. I'm not sure. But regardless, chasing them in melee is the right thing to do so they don't get out of range and kind of lose their attack order with their pistols. But let's keep that in the background and keep that in the back of your mind as Nurgle teeters on army losses here. Basically, if that Rot Knight gets chased off, Nurgle will probably hit army losses and just lose. But in the meantime, Rotting Riders, still with their Blessing of the Fly Lord active and regenerating, are nearly up to their healing cap, just ping-ponging around, finishing off a lot of these Empire missile units, making sure they stay shattered. And that's basically it, besides Boris and these handful of Pistoliers and the Rot Knights. So this is basically the critical engagement right now, is if these Pistoliers can chase the Rot Knights off the edge of the map. It's right there. We'll add a little suspense, take the UI away. Will it be enough? The Pistoliers, yeah, I don't think they were shooting. They didn't really use much of their ammo that entire time. But the Rot Knights regenerate just enough HP that balance, the value equation flips. They're able to come back from route literally on the edge of the map and immediately just massacre the Pistoliers. Yeah, again, I don't know if the Pistoliers, Golden Floof, if he comments on this, will have to let us know. If they were set to fire at will and they just weren't shooting there, that's extremely unfortunate. If they weren't set to fire at will, they definitely should have been, and maybe they would have got some shots into pursuit there to add a little bit of extra DPS. I don't know if it would have been enough, but I mean, considering how close literally they were to the line, it might have made the difference, honestly. And at this point, I mean, Nurgle still got their work cut out for them, absolutely. Gotta chase stuff off as much as possible, but time is on Nurgle's side. Of course, Boris has his own innate regeneration, but getting surrounded by the Rotting Riders will not be great for Boris. Even with his AoE debuffs, he really relies on his charge bonus himself. His sustained melee stats are kind of more or less comparable to the Rotting Riders. They've actually got much better melee defense, which in a grind fight could end up mattering significantly. Keep in mind as well, being a multi-model unit, they can surround Boris and bypass a portion of his melee defense for the unit models in his side or rear arc. So, critical engagement at this point. Basically the entire game. Everything else comes down to this. Except that, of course, there is the one more unit of Rot Knights coming that just closed with those Pistoliers. So Boris has enough HP here. You can see he's doing all right, at least initially. Once things turn against him, though, I don't think, even with this unit getting routed off, I mean, other than the army losses triggering, I think the Rotting Riders actually could have carried the rest of the game by themselves, which is just absolutely insane. I mean, people talk about the Royal Altar Crypt fights being OP, and, you know, they're definitely strong. I need to see them in more games before I'm going to make that call myself. But the Rotting Riders, again, OP is pretty strong. They're insane, definitely. They're absolutely insane. And this particular game, they're able to accrue 5,222 damage value as gold, 32,000 total damage dealt, 318 kills. Just absolutely spectacular in the hands of a very skilled player. A powerful cavalry unit like this is unmatched and just absolutely devastating. The other two Rot Knights also pay for themselves and 12,000 damage apiece. You know, it's pretty similar kill totals, similar performance all the way around. Exalted Great Unclean Ones ends up being a little bit of a tank. Doesn't get enough value to pay for himself outright, but the heals are nice, and of course absorbing a lot of the damage for those Rot Knights. Same thing with the other auxiliary mobile forces. They're more or less here to just disrupt and eat damage and run around and distract, which they were able to do fairly effectively. One Pistolier doesn't do anything. One Pistolier, though, 1397, 770 on damage value, some nice high value damage. Precision Pistolier there. I personally love to see it from Golden Floof. They're bringing back my faith in Pistoliers. Almost 800 value on that one as well, so pretty good all across the board. Well, all the Grip Fights also definitely perform 12,000 damage. You know, they're keeping pace with with the Rot Knights in terms of raw damage, actually get more pure value. But the Knights of Blazing Sun, unfortunately, you know, hindsight 2020, it's nice to have, certainly, with the flaming damage, but probably, especially with Flaming Sword, better to just probably take another Demigryph Knight Halberd. You know, kind of fight fire with fire and halberds to a degree. I don't know, I do like the Free Company as well. Some of them were able to get some really nice value. Yeah, 1,000 damage value there, 600 there, 600 on the silver bullets. So all around, pretty awesome game, and super close. Really good game to both players. Can't really criticize too much, but super fun, and hopefully you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.